Hi guys, welcome to Dubs Only Sports. This is episode 36, and we're gonna do our second edition of Is This a Sport? Now, in the last episode we covered 10 sports. This time we're gonna be covering 10 more sports that are either international sports, just sports played around, just sports played around the world. Is it a sport? Is it not a sport? Last week we dove into things like face slapping, which we agreed with was a human rights violation more than it was a sports. We also did things like chess, pool billiards, 10-pin bowling. So overall, we're having a great time with it. This time, we're just going to get right into it. First one, probably again a more controversial sport when asking the question, is this a sport or not? We're looking at golf. Now, golf is very boring, very long. I am one who actually enjoys watching golf and enjoys playing golf. I must admit, I can't lie. I do enjoy the sport. It's a good time. But the question is golf a sport?
So, as much as golf is a sport, golf is a sport, golf is a sport, and it's undeniably a sport, but it's so dumb. It's
Yeah.
so dumb. I mean, like playing golf is fun if you're good. I mean, if you're shit, then it's not fun. But I feel like the problem with golf is that just the whole atmosphere of golf, the whole vibe of golf is off because it just seems so exclusive. It seems like only for rich people. It seems like it literally when you think of golf, you think of rich country club people, old
Yeah.
rich country club people. It doesn't seem like an accessible sport. It doesn't seem like something that kids would play. It just seems like a thing that older people would play. And
Yeah.
it just seems like a thing that old people play because they're not athletic in any way, shape, or form, but they want to show off that they're good at something, so they play golf. Like that's the way that I view golf. I feel like also the problem with golf is that the most entertaining part about watching golf on television is that the announcers talk like they're in a library. I mean, they're not like they literally like I don't understand it. Like they think that there's just such a a superiority complex that like golf fans and players and all these people have. Like this sport of golf is like not the most popular sport in the world. I don't know why you guys are acting like it's like the shit because it's not. I mean, yes, it's a fun sport to play. I have no issue. I agree. I think that playing golf is fun, but I just don't like the whole vibe surrounding golf, you know? Like it's definitely a sport because it's competitive. There's an objective measure if there's an objective measure of winning and losing. You either win, you lose. No subjectivity at all. It takes talent, it takes practice, it takes skill. I'm not denying that. It's just that it doesn't seem as accessible as other sports, and it just seems very exclusive. And they have like a very, I don't even know what the word is, but it just seems I don't like the vibe that surrounds it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I feel like now we're kind of seeing a shift in golf where it's not as pretentious as it used to be. Like what you said about like the country clubs and all that was like a very good point. But I feel like the other side of it is that you've got a group of guys who are like very competitive and there's a lot of money on the line, which further boosts the goddamn testosterone levels that'll be going on in every golf game. So, yes, I think golf is a sport, but I feel like it's definitely looking at a change in scenery. I mean, like I'm looking at clips where, they're having microphones more in tune to like what the golfers are saying, just that we can like listen in to what their strategy is. But the other side of that is that when they get frustrated, it's funny to watch them, yell out an F bomb or, we've seen like broken clubs and, like some of the golfers throughout like, the decades, you look at some and they're like very like pretentious and you look at others. I feel like if you've ever seen the movie Happy Gilmore, it's kind of like that right now. You've just kind of got a guy who like, it's just like this like environment where like golf is like, yes, it's still like a sport, but it's like supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, I mean, you look at like the Phoenix Open and you look at the 16th hole at the Phoenix Open par 3, people go absolutely wild. So I think golf yes, is still in its pretentious phase, but I think we're slowly looking at a golf where it's not as pretentious as it is anymore. We're not looking at country clubs with old people playing, golf. It's going to be these young guys getting drunk, going out to the ranges, going out to the fairways, and just hitting golf balls just for funs. So I think golf is a
I have a
sport overall.
suggestion. I have
Yeah,
a suggestion for golf.
yeah,
So golf seems like a very formal sport, and sports like baseball that have been along like in golf that have been around for a while, they always get criticized because they're like very formal and they don't adjust. I have a proposal for golf, you know? So I feel like they have this whole tradition where the announcers are very quiet, they whisper, and it's a very formal, relaxed sport, right? I feel like the players should show a little more emotion. And also, you know who should announce these? You know who should announce golf events? You know
mm,
who should announce golf events? Bob Menery. Bob Menery needs to announce golf events, bro. That would be absolutely hilarious. If you had Bob Menery in the booth announcing golf events, it would make it 10 times more entertaining, without a doubt. Even have
yeah,
Kevin Harlan announce it. Just have someone with some energy and emotion announce golf tournaments because it would just add so much to it. Because golf, in and of itself, is such a boring sport because
mhm,
you just have a bunch of dudes or ladies walking around the fucking range, hitting the ball, standing there for an hour, looking to see the way they want to hit it and hitting it again. There's no flow to it. There's nothing at
yeah,
all. If you have an announcer like Kevin Harlan or like Bob Menery, who's just super emotional, it would make it hilarious. They'd just be cracking jokes the whole time. They'd be super intense for absolutely no reason. And I feel
yeah,
like it would just add some energy to it. They would never do it because they have a very formal tradition of how they do it, but it would be
yeah,
absolutely hilarious if Bob Menery or Kevin Harlan
yeah.
announced a golf tournament.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day where it was like, like if golf announcers and soccer announcers switched
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely
Yeah.
funny. And then like also a quick side note, during the Olympics when like Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart were like going through like the different sports and like commenting on that, I also feel like that would maybe it would have worked for golf, but I just think yeah, something along the lines of that would definitely
Even have
help the sport.
even if you have something like TNT with like Shaq, Kenny,
Yeah,
Charles, if you have something like that announcing a golf event, that would be hilarious. You just need some
yeah,
guys with some energy and some
yeah.
flair, and not just a bunch of boring old dudes that are standing there for birdie. He knocks it in. Like, come on, we need some energy, we need some pizzazz, we need some flair, and I feel like that would really add a lot to the sport and make it a lot more popular internationally. So that's my opinion on golf. It definitely is a sport, but it's lacking in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next sport we have on our list, we have fencing. For those of you who don't know what fencing is, it's kind of like swordsmanship.
It's sword fighting. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
sword
it's
fighting.
sword fighting, but it's not like swords. It's like little like sticks with like little things at the end, and if you get touched, then it's like a point.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules of fencing, but off the bat, I'm going into it and saying that fencing is a sport. I've done
Yeah.
fencing myself, and first of all, like your vision is so limited off the bat because you're literally like it's basically like having like a fence in front of your face while you're trying to do something. It's just like very weird, but fencing is definitely a sport. I mean, again, like going back to the last episode and going into this now, my three main criteria is that it's got to be competitive, it's got to be physically demanding, and it's got to be for entertainment value. And for fencing, maybe the entertainment value is lacking a little bit, but it is an Olympic sport, so it's got to be a sport.
Yeah, no, I agree. Fencing is definitely a sport. It's competitive. You're facing off with someone, so it's definitely you can if you want to be more specific, it's a combat sport because you're fighting someone. It's basically a sword fight. The best part is like it's basically just medieval fighting. Basically, what it is they took fighting 1,000 years ago where you had swords and you just sword fighting, and they just said, you know what? Let's relive it. So they just have
Yeah,
they have these two people standing in the freaking I don't even it's like a line almost. It's not even like a ring. It's like a they stand like lined up next to each other, and they basically have to stand a certain way. They if you hit the other person, it's a point. You hit them different places, it's a different point. But it's just funny because like it's just like so random. It's like okay, like we had this 1,000 years ago, so let's just continue to do it. Like I don't
yeah,
know, like it's funny. It's a certain it takes skill, it takes practice, takes talent. Um, it's objective. Um, it's just it's a sport. I mean, is it the most entertaining sport? Absolutely not. Would I ever decide to willingly watch fencing? Absolutely not. Is it a sport? Absolutely. But
Yeah,
I just think it's funny that like they think they're like some like 13th century medieval dudes that are just like running around a castle. Like, dude, like
yeah,
if you're genuinely fencing for your like as your like main sport, like
yeah.
I have some questions, Like
Is what it
I'm not
is.
even gonna lie. I have some questions. But I mean if you think you're like King Arthur, then fine. But if you think you're like some random 13th century king, then
Yeah,
so be it. But maybe you should like I mean, I don't know, dude. It's just weird to me, man. But respect the
it's a weird
fencing.
sport, but a
It's a
sport all the
weird
time.
sport. It's a sport.
Respect
It's
the
a sport, no
fencing.
denying. Yeah.
All you fencers out there,
Yeah.
respect.
Respect.
Um, and then moving on to the next sport in our list, we have boxing. For me, this is pretty easy. I mean, I said in the last video when we were talking about face slapping, I said that if I'm saying that boxing is a sport, then who am I to say that face slapping isn't a sport? So I feel like that kind of ties into this. Boxing is a very physically demanding sport. And I mean, I know people look at it and go, well, it's so dumb. It's just two guys beating each other up. Yeah, but you have to have like the physical integrity in order to get beat up. Like you have to allow
Yeah.
yourself to beat up as well as trying to beat someone up while you're getting beat up. It's a physical
Yeah.
sport. Yes, while dumb in some aspects because it is just two people trying to literally kill one another, it is a sport. It's very physically demanding. The entertainment value is through the roof with it. And the competition is ridiculous. I mean, we've got so many chirps, so many people. You even like content creators like Jake Paul, Local Paul, KSI have now started doing it, where we've seen YouTubers started doing it. So all in all, it's a sport. I like it as a sport. That's me.
No, yeah, it's boxing is definitely a sport. It's objective. Um, if you beat the other dude, then you win. I mean, there is some subjectivity always with the judges because sometimes there's like a split decision, but
Yeah, I think
it's
the judging
relative.
is weird. Like the point
The
system is
judging is
weird.
weird. That's the only reason I would have like slightly hesitate to say it's a sport or not, just because the judges' subjectivity is a little off. But it's a
Yeah,
sport because it's so physically demanding and taxing, and it's a combat sport. That's basically what it is. You're fighting someone, and
yeah,
boxing in particular, more than MMA, takes a lot of skill because you can only punch. You can't kick. You can't do a lot of this other stuff. So
yeah.
boxing takes just a lot
And you
more
can
like
only punch in certain areas. You can't even punch below
yeah,
the waist.
yeah, you can't do certain things. So there's a lot more rules in boxing, and it's very like you have to very like follow those rules, and a lot more precise. It takes a lot of practice, and the endurance of these guys and the strength of these guys is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, people only think about like how much endurance you need to stay in the ring for that long and to be punching the whole time, but to actually endure those hits and to still be upright and still be in the fight is crazy. So the endurance for boxing is crazy. The just the mental toll of actually stepping in that ring is crazy. So boxing as a sport is probably one of the hardest things to do. It's obviously very entertaining. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but it's probably one of the most watched sports in the world. I mean, every
Yeah,
boxing fight, a big fight is always a massive event and all the celebrities show up. So it's probably one of the most like popular and entertaining things just because again, like we said in the last episode, like people always gravitate towards violence for whatever reason and they just like to see it. So boxing is definitely a sport. It takes a lot of talent. It's very competitive and it's relatively objective, not entirely, but relatively objective, and it's objective enough to the point where like if you just knock someone out, you win. So it's a sport, it's a combat sport, and
yeah,
probably one of the most popular sports in the world.
yeah. Now, moving on, we've got equestrian. Now, if you don't know what equestrian is, or if you've heard the word but you don't know what equestrian is if you've ever been watching the Olympics, right? And you turn on your TV during the Olympics and you're like, oh, I wonder what Olympic sport is on. Olympic sport. I wonder what Olympic sport is on today. You turn on your TV and you see some gal or some dude on a horse that's just simply jumping over a couple of poles, doing a few turns, putting its foot out to, I don't know, show prosperity and the lives of others watching. If you've ever turned on the TV, seen that, and gone, wow, this is a very interesting sport, you have got to be one of the dumbest people on planet Earth because equestrian simply is not a sport. I mean, there's one thing to have a human doing all the physical work, but to have a horse doing all the physical work and then being like, yes, that is a sport. I mean, come on. Really? You really
No.
think? So me personally, equestrian is definitely the dumbest non-sport that we have on this list that we've created. And there are a lot on here. Equestrian is the one that I feel most passionately about because it's awful. It is horrid. I mean, first of all, it's a horse doing all the work for you, but then it's like the human gets the medal. The horse doesn't
Yes.
even, they get a wreath. That's
Yeah,
it. Who
that's
wants a
fair.
wreath?
Yeah, no, I
Imagine if the roles were reversed and the horse was riding you. Pause.
no, that's like okay. So let me be nice here and let me just like let's go through the criteria. No, no, no. Let me just go through the criteria of a sport, okay? So what are the criteria? It's competitive.
Competitive,
Is it competitive?
physically
Kind
demanding.
of. Kind of. It's
No,
kind of
it's not.
and
You're not
let me finish.
competing.
Let me finish. 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 Is it competitive?
No.
I mean, you're doing your little skill show, you're running around on your horsey, and then you're doing your little competition, right? So it's
Yep.
kind of competitive, but it's not really competitive because you don't actually influence your opponents in any way, shape, or form. Second of all, does it take physical ability? None. Absolutely zero physical ability. Nothing at all. Okay. The takes is some sort of mental ability to teach your horse how to do these stupid tricks. Okay. You're smart enough to make a horse gallop and jump over a hurdle. Okay, good job. Good job. Okay. So and it takes no physical ability. And then the last one is it objective? No, absolutely not. No way, shape, or form is this sport objective. It's a bunch of random people in the damn booth that just randomly throw. Oh, they like the way that horse jumps. 9 out of 10. They don't like that. Oh no, that horse is not good enough. 8 out of 10. Bro, it's stupid. It's. I mean, as you said, it's literally the stupidest activity created by humankind I've ever seen in my life. I mean, who would willingly choose to spend their time doing this? I need to know.
Yeah.
I need to know. But
Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. All right. For all the I don't even know what for the
equestrians,
equestrians out there. For the equestrians out there who are watching this and going, these two guys don't know how bad we get it, right? Fine.
yeah,
Let me hear me out right here, right? Don't get me wrong, right? Most of whenever I see equestrians, I'm always looking at like the outfits of the people who are doing equestrians. It's like they have like the Wellington boots, they've got like the white pants, and then like some
think they're
like
from
buckle strap shirt
1530. They think they're from 1530 England, bro. You're not in
with the helmet
1530
on, right?
England,
With the
bro.
helmet on, right? Okay.
You're
Here's my
living in
thing.
2023, bro.
If you are if you are competing on any surface that's dirt, grass, anything that can get you dirty, and you are wearing white pants and you leave that venue and your pants, you wouldn't even need to put them in the washing machine, that should speak for itself on how much
I
of a
agree.
sport a question is.
It's
Because
just
it's
that
not.
like if you want to do horseback riding, do horseback riding. Go get a horse and ride around your damn ranch. But
That's it.
why try to make it a sport? It's not a sport. It's like this is what I would compare it to, man. It's like if some random bozo like doing I'm not even gonna do that. I'm not even gonna compare it to anything. It doesn't even deserve the comparison. Equestrian is not a sport.
Yep.
It's literally the stupid. I mean, I'm not even trying to be an asshole right now, but like, just go horseback riding, man. Just do it for your own.
Just
Just do it for your own sanity. Just do it for your own. To go do equestrian because it's just not worth it for you. It's not a good look.
Mhm.
And I mean, as you said, these dudes think they're from like 1520. Like, what are you wearing? Like,
Yep.
is this like some like show or something? Like, fine, you want to call equestrian a competition? Fine, call it a competition. It is absolutely not a sport. It is
Yep.
absolutely not a sport. It takes absolutely no physical ability. Okay,
Yep.
it's very subjective, and it's like not entertaining. I don't. Have you ever woken up in the morning and been like, "Yo, I want to turn on equestrian today." Like,
Never,
oh,
never in my life. Never will I ever.
has anyone ever
I
woken
don't
up and
doubt
been
it.
like,
I don't doubt it. There's gotta be
no, man,
you're talking about these old washed up people who are playing golf. What do you think they're doing when they're not on the
for
ranges, man?
facts, bro.
They're
The people
watching
that watch
equestrian.
Equestrian are probably they like get home from golf at like 1, 2 p.m. They get
Right.
home,
They
they
eat
have their
dinner
freaking
at
they eat
3.
dinner. Yeah, they eat dinner at 3 p.m. They go for their nap,
They
they
watch
wake up.
equestrian until 5 and then fall asleep. Because bedtime's at 6.
Oh my God. I like it just
They
like
read a
how can
book. They read a book on the iPad that they still haven't managed to figure out how it works yet. And then they go to bed by 6 o'clock.
Oh, dude, it's so brutal. Like, I'm not even trying to like disrespect equestrians, but like, is that even what they're called? Like, I don't know what they're called, bro. I'm not even trying to disrespect
Equestrians.
equestrians, but like, dude, like, just go horseback riding, man. Like, just do that. Like, just go horseback riding. Go
Oh
rent
my
a ranch
days.
in Texas or Wyoming or wherever the fuck you want to live. Rent a ranch and go ride your damn horsey around the ranch. Don't do equestrian, guys. Don't.
I
We
see
just
more people on a daily basis than the amount of people that live in Wyoming. Just like there are
yeah,
probably more horses in Wyoming than there are people. Just hop on one of them. Have a time, man.
exactly.
Don't make it a sport, please.
It's
Just because everything else is too physically demanding. Just
it's not a sport. It's not a
just
sport.
ride
It
the
might be,
horse.
and don't like trying to make it a sport. Like it's an activity, fine. Like we're not going to
Yeah,
disrespect it as an activity. It's not a
yeah.
sport. It's not a sport. It's not a
I've
sport.
done horseback riding and it's a wild time, you
Yeah,
know?
horseback riding perfectly fine, but don't act like you're doing a sport.
Yeah,
Don't be like that guy that's like, oh, I'm watching a movie. Oh, that's a sport now. Or like, oh, I'm freaking like twiddling my thumbs. Oh, that's a sport. No, no,
yeah.
not a sport. Not a sport at all in any way, shape, or form. Now we're gonna move on to wrestling. And wrestling takes on many different forms because we got college wrestling, we got all these buff dudes in college. We saw that guy that had 2 torn ACLs and still won the state championship in wrestling. And then we have the WWE. And I don't even want to get started with this. I'm going to let you start off with this. Do you think that wrestling is a sport? And then additionally, do you think that the WWE is a sport?
Okay, well, here we go, right? Off the bat, wrestling, right? Wrestling, like we're talking about like college
Yeah,
wrestling, right?
yeah.
Um, is it competitive? Hell yes. Physically demanding? You betcha. And for entertainment's sake, I mean, I literally saw some mom crush her glasses up when her son lost the game. How is that not entertaining? Right? So off the goddamn dome, wrestling is a sport. But I swear to God, when we're looking at WWE, right? Don't get me wrong, it is very physically demanding, and like I've seen clips where it's like ringside of like WWE events, and it is definitely like physically demanding. I can't do a flip, and never in my wildest dreams would I ever want to climb up onto the top ropes and jump onto somebody else, right? So don't get me wrong, it is physically demanding. Competitive, I don't know. But for entertainment's sake, holy crap, does it fleece the American population? Because people just get sucked in. And you know what? It just feeds into this argument that I have about how Americans in particular are just violent human beings. And they love the violence. That's why they love face slapping, and that's why they love WWE. WWE is not a sport, and I would never like count myself as I essentially like watching a movie and watching some of these stunt actors do the stunts that they do, getting beat up and thrown around. I don't count that as them doing a sport. I count that as them acting. And I do the same thing for WWE because it's all like you want to talk about something that's scripted. Lord, like
Yeah, facts.
you can literally go on YouTube, go search up WWE scripted moments, and it is some of the wildest things of all time. And I mean, you look at the most successful WWE wrestlers, John Cena, Dwayne Johnson, and what are they doing now? They're acting. You know why? Because they've been doing it for years. It's just good for their physique, man. It's acting. It's literally acting. They get
No,
paid
that's
to
what it
act.
is. Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
watching a movie or watching a TV show. It's not a sport.
yeah,
But wrestling,
yeah,
like college wrestling and like wrestling, that's a
yeah,
sport. That is brutal. I could never.
yeah,
And I don't understand the point system of that, but there is a point system.
yeah. No, college wrestling, actual wrestling is 100% a sport. That's pretty self-explanatory. But let's just get into the WWE, man. What the fuck? Like, this thing is absolutely ridiculous. So, just to get it off the bat, my favorite WWE moment, you sent it to me like multiple years ago, but
Oh,
it's it is hilarious. It is The Rock. Everyone knows this moment, and we will add it in this video.
we'll
But
add
it's
it
just
in.
when The Rock is there, he's just like, "Shut up, bitch," and then he just pans to the fucking crowd. But it is fucking hilarious. Whenever you guys need to watch that, it is great. But and that will be in the video for sure. But dude, the WWE is in no way, shape, or form a sport. This is literally just acting. I mean, this is just Hollywood at this point. And
Yeah,
is it entertaining, like you said? For a lot of people, it is totally
without a
entertaining,
doubt. It's
without a
entertaining
doubt.
for me. It's entertaining for
Yeah,
me.
it's a meme. It's just a running meme. That's
Yeah,
how I consider it. Okay, so it's definitely entertaining. Is it competitive? No, not at all. It's not a competition. It's literally just an act job. Okay, it's physical. Yes, it takes physical. It's physically demanding, but it's just acting. It's not competitive. You're not actually trying to achieve anything. Okay,
yeah.
it's stupid. It's scripted. Whoever has the script, let me know. But it's definitely scripted. It's ridiculous. But I mean, it's just like you literally have guys like The Rock, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Logan Paul as like the stars of the WWE, right? And
Yeah.
it's like you look at those guys, who are they? Logan Paul, YouTube influencer. Roman Reigns, random big guy. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, actor. Who's the last one? John Cena, same thing, actor. So they're basically just celebrities that just
Yeah.
pop in. They have big muscles. They want to show the muscles off. They
Yeah.
want to smack people down with chairs.
Yep.
They want to just be popular. So they
They want
join
to
the
wrestle in a
WWE.
cage.
They want to
They're
wrestle in a cage. They
wild
want to jump.
animals.
They want they want to jump from the edge of the ring onto someone with a chair and slap them in the face.
They want to fight their way up a goddamn ladder in order to
That's bro.
reach some random suitcase.
It's yeah. I mean, it's just crazy to me. It's definitely not a sport. I think everyone knows it's not a sport.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, it's entertaining, fine, but it's basically just a play. It's just a play.
Yeah.
It's just a violent play. So it's not a sport. Is it hilarious? Is Dwayne the Rock
Absolutely.
Johnson's moment hilarious? Is John Cena
Absolutely.
hilarious? Is Logan Paul
Absolutely.
hilarious? Absolutely. But
Absolutely.
it is not a sport in any way,
No.
shape, or form.
Nope.
It's ridiculous to me, but
Yep.
some people like it, and it's just a meme. It's just the WWE is basically just a meme. So
It is.
that's what we're gonna conclude for that one. On to the next one. This one's pretty self-explanatory in my opinion, but how do you feel about horse racing? Do you think that horse racing is a sport?
What what did I say about equestrian? There's one thing for the human
Whoa,
to
you're
do.
hating on the horse? Okay, this is different. This is
There's
different.
there's one thing to have the human doing the physical work, but when it is literally the horse doing, okay, think about it. No, hear me out, right? Think about horse racing.
What's
Who
the difference?
wins?
Pause.
Who
Pause.
wins the race?
Wait, what's the difference between horse racing and NASCAR?
That's why. Okay, that's my second point, right? So for starters, right? For starters, in horse racing, who wins the race?
The horse.
Precisely. The human is doing nothing. It's the
Okay.
horse. For
Okay.
starters, right? And I barely classify NASCAR as a sport because again, the big thing is that you just go in circles. I can do that blind. Okay? You just go in circles. But not only that, right? For NASCAR, the only thing that I can respect is that if like no matter what, like you could be like you are looking like death in the face no matter what. I mean, you're going fast for starters, and you're in a cockpit where it could reach like 180 degrees,
Crazy.
like
It's wild.
some unbelievable temperatures. For horse racing, it's nothing like that. I mean, all you have to do is stay on the goddamn horse. And most of these horses are whipped and beaten so much that if they do anything that's out of line, they're just gonna get. And you know the whole phrase where it's like, if a horse breaks its leg, you have a horse doctor that comes shoots it in the head. I mean, come on, it's not a sport. it's so much of not of a sport that it's not even the human that wins the race. It's like you think, okay, when you're thinking about horse racing, when you think about the legends of horse racing, who do you think about? American Pharoah, Seabiscuit. Those are horses. Those aren't even people. They're literally horses. Like,
what if it's a sport for animals?
fine, it's a sport for animals. It's not a human sport. We're talking about a sport, a human. It's not a human sport. If horses could talk, if horses tomorrow morning gained some intelligence farther beyond our knowledge and started talking to us, then yeah, sure, feel free. But we are still talking about, where humans are always going to be on top of the food chain of everything, like literally the phrase is that if a horse breaks its leg, the only way that it can, you just shoot it. That's it. Like that's it. Could you imagine if a human broke its leg? Imagine if some NBA player broke its leg and the team was like, well, gotta put it down. Could you imagine? No, because NBA, unlike horse racing, is a sport. All right. God damn, horse racing, I swear to God, bro. Kentucky Derby, Churchill Downs, anything. What are people like the outfits that these people wear too? You want to talk about people going like honing in to their goddamn like 1650s vibe? Go to for us, it's Santa Anita Park. Go there, okay? And just like, oh my God. No, it is not a sport. I swear to God. It's not even the humans winning the sport, it's the horse. Like, what more do I have to say? You go in circles, and sometimes it's not even you go in circles, you just gotta run in a straight line. Like, oh my days, bro. That's like saying greyhound racing is a sport. It's just something to
Okay,
gamble.
okay. So before I get into is this to the fact of horse racing be a sport or not a sport, my biggest problem with damn horse racing is the fucking people that show up to these damn events. Who watches this shit? Who willingly is like, you know what, motherfucker? I'm gonna spend my Sunday going to a fucking horse race, baby. I'm gonna go to that horse race. I'm gonna put $100 on American Pharoah because she's gonna get it done. Get a life, man. Get a life. These motherfucking Karens are going to these damn horse races. Like, it's nobody's business, bro. They act like it's 13th century, bro. They're like some freaking 18th century colonials at this point, bro. It's ridiculous that people are actually horse racing. Like, literally, horses have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, man. And they think they're the fucking Mongols going to this damn sport, and they're like, oh my God, we're gonna ride these horses. What are we doing? What are we doing?
No.
Okay.
Wait, go ahead. When I see a horse jump the Great Wall of China, then equestrian is a sport. That is the only way. The only damn way. Because there's no shot. There's just no. Oh my
Oh man.
days.
So I mean, horse racing is like it's a sport for animals, bro. Like it's a sport for humans. Everyone wants to say the talent, this and that. It's an animal sport, guys. Like let's be real with ourselves. The horses are the ones that are running, okay? Like if you just randomly just jumped on your dog's back and your dog just ran, would you say that you're fast or your dog is fast? Your dog is fast, okay? And these motherfuckers are just jumping on the horse and taking credit for winning, okay? Being disrespectful to the horse. Most horses spend years and years of their life chomping on fucking weed to just run their way to fucking victory, bro. And you're disrespecting them by having some little twerp wearing a fucking 15th century white costume say that they won the fucking race. No, that fucking horsey did it. That pony fucked you up. That's all I gotta say about fucking horse racing, man. Fucking get fucking reason that the only reason that people watch horse racing is because they fucking gamble on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it. That's it. It's just a way to make money, man.
basically, in my opinion, horse racing is literally 15th century gambling. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's basically just it's just a casino in the 13th century. That's all. That's all horse racing is. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I will never attend a horse racing event, and it's a animal sport, not a sport. Animal
Hmm.
sport. Now we're gonna move on to poker, and I want to get your opinion on if poker is a sport.
Okay, so hear me out, right? There were when I was a wee lad, right? And we would take road trips to wherever, right? You'd have a pack of cards with you, right? You went on camping trips, long plane rides, you had a pack of cards with you, you know? So off the bat, right, when I would play with my family, when I would play with my friends, we're talking about like go fish, things like BS, speed. Never, ever in my wildest dreams would I sit there whipping out cards and going, wow, this is a really competitive sport we're playing right now. No. Okay. Poker is a card game. Go fish, card game. BS, card game. Speed, card game. Right? To make matters worse, if you're telling me that poker is a sport, I can whip out a pack of cards right now, start playing goddamn solitaire, and say that I'm playing an individual sport. Every white mom would be so happy that they are so physically active in such a demanding sport. Because holy, we're talking about tarot cards. That's now a sport because it's got cards. Poker again, it's just one of those things that you can gamble on. That's it. If it's something, it's literally the formula is if you can lose a lot of money on it, it's got to be a sport. No, not the case. Poker, not a sport. I need to grab my charger. You talk about poker. I'm still going to be here.
So, guys, we got into this a little bit more when we talked about chess. Chess is a board game, not a
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah.
Poker is absolutely not a sport. There's no reason that any human being on this earth should consider poker a sport. There's nothing that makes it a sport. Nothing makes it a sport. And just because it's broadcast on ESPN, the World Series of Poker is on ESPN broadcast does not mean it's a sport. Okay, does not mean it's a sport. Okay, poker is not a sport. It should never
Yep.
be considered a sport. It's just a bunch of hooligans that want to fucking waste their money, and they think they're gonna make money, but they're not because they're gonna lose money. And then you got
Mhm.
the fucking eventual dudes that are just sitting there with their fucking shades on, thinking that they're tough. Like,
With the rings, with the poker rings on,
yeah, and they're
and the
shuffling their cards.
bracelets, the
Yeah,
bracelets.
they're shuffling their cards, staring right into the camera, and then they lose
Yep.
$3 million. So yeah,
Yep.
poker is not a sport. Takes no physical ability. It's only a mental game. It's just a board game. It's not a board game. It's just a card game. Just a card game. Just
Card game.
consider it a card game. Don't consider it a sport. Don't think you're being active when you're drunk as hell at 11 p.m. at night at your friend's house,
Yeah.
putting down $5 thinking you're gonna win $1 million. Okay,
Yeah. I feel like
it's not a sport.
the only time you can watch poker on live TV is literally damn near at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, it's like 3 a.m., bro. They're just like, ESPN, we don't
That's
have
it.
anything to show. We have nothing to
That's
show.
why.
World Series of Poker, baby.
There you go.
Yeah. So
But moving on to the next sport we have here, right? We got into this a little earlier, NASCAR. Now, for me personally, it is like, yes, it's competitive, it's physically demanding for sure, it's for entertainment's sake, and there's an objectifying way to win a NASCAR race, right? But to drive around in circles for sometimes 500 laps, I mean, come on now. Like, let's add at least one more turn, you know? Because no matter what, it's going to be a circle. But Formula One, it's like
yeah,
that.
it's actually like, yeah.
NASCAR is literally a goddamn oval.
Yeah, it's just
And I mean, who's the guy, like in one of the races last year where he just like hugged the wall like the entire time in order
I
to
don't
win
know,
the
man.
race?
I don't
You know,
watch it, so I don't
I don't
know.
like it's a sport, but like barely only because that cockpit gets hot. and it is physically demanding. It's competitive, and it's for entertainment's sake. But like barely though, it's barely physically demanding, only because like you are looking death in the face. I mean, you could crash into someone and
Yeah,
die. Like there have been NASCAR drivers that have died out on the track.
yeah,
So gotta make it a sport.
yeah. So I'm gonna say that NASCAR is a sport. I didn't. I said that horse racing is not a human sport. I said it's an animal sport. I think that that NASCAR is more of a sport than horse racing because the human is actually driving the car and taking full entire control of the car because the car
Like
has no conscious.
I can whip a horse to make it go faster. I can't whip a car and make it go faster. You know?
And also the thing with the with NASCAR is that it takes a ton of freaking it takes a ton of hand-eye coordination to actually like stay on these turns. They're going hundreds of miles an hour, and the
Yeah.
split-second decisions that they need to do are insane. The training for a NASCAR is absolutely ridiculous. They have to be so tuned in with their motor skills to actually get to execute all the turns, and like it's very dangerous. It's like kind of similar thing with boxing is that it's so not only like physically draining, not only mentally draining because you're like actually focused on the track, but it's physically draining because you're scared that you're gonna die. Like you need to do the right thing or you're gonna die because you're gonna make a bad turn, you're gonna die. So
Yeah.
these drivers burn thousands of calories every race. They're stuck in a little hot little freaking congested pit and they drive around a track 500 times. So it is a sport. Is it the most outwardly physical sport? No, but it takes a lot of physical demand to actually sit in that car where it's very hot. You have to have very fine-tuned motor skills. So NASCAR is definitely a sport. I don't understand why anyone would watch it because why am I watching some dude drive in a circle 300 times? But
Mhm.
I just don't understand the appeal of it. Formula One's a little different because you actually run in a track, you drive in a track, so fine. But yeah, I don't really understand the appeal of NASCAR, but it is
Yeah.
a sport,
Yeah.
100%. But now we're gonna move on. This one's kind of funny. I mean, do you think that competitive eating is a sport?
Competitive eating is a 4th of July tradition. That's it. Like, honestly, I've never seen any televised events of competitive eating unless it is literally the 4th of July and I'm watching Joey Chestnut shove 200 goddamn hot dogs down his throat. Like, that's it. And it is just like, like it is beyond me to say that it is disgusting. But like to give people that opportunity and to say that, oh, you eating tons of food, sport, absolutely no shot. Okay. Like some people like have like a God-given gift of like a good stomach and some God tier throat goat skills, right? But other than that, it's not a sport. It's just shoving a bunch of food in your face. Like I've never sat at a Thanksgiving table eating a bunch of food and being like, yes, sport. Like it's
It's not a
entertaining,
sport.
it's competitive, physically demanding. Once you eat all the food, yeah, sure, because you'll be barfing it all up afterwards, and it's just a waste of food. So great job, America, because if we're number one in doing things that are pointless, competitive eating is one of them. So yeah, again, it's this whole thing about you got to put the word competitive in front of it in order to make it a sport. Same thing goes for dance, and the same thing goes for cheerleading. Eating is not a sport. Cheerleading, not a sport, and dance, not a sport. But competitive dance, competitive cheerleading, yes, those are sports. But competitive eating, it just doesn't work like that. I know you're trying to be slick with it. You're not. Okay, you guys aren't smart. Okay, it's okay. But competitive eating, not a sport. Not a sport. Eating, not a sport. It's just eating. It's something you do on a daily basis. That's like saying we're gonna
Yeah.
start. We're gonna start saying that competitive breathing is a sport. Competitive drinking is a sport because we do it on a daily basis.
Oh,
Competitive blinking, like, competitive peeing. Could you imagine? It's just, it just doesn't work that way. Okay. Like 4th of July,
oh,
sure. It's like I'm one who loves watching people shove food down their throats because why not? It may not be, socially moral, but hey, it is what it is. Ethical, socially ethical. World hunger is an
yeah,
issue. And here we are seeing how many hot dogs we can shove down our throats in a 10-minute time span.
yeah. no, no. Competitive eating is absolutely not a sport. Okay. Everyone can eat. Or I'm not gonna say everyone. I'm not gonna try to disrespect. I think most people that are most healthy individuals can eat. Okay. It does not make it a sport. Just because I decide that my stomach is growling and I want to go to the refrigerator and I take out a freaking peach and I shove it down my throat does not mean that I'm doing a sport. It means that I'm eating because I need to eat or else I'm gonna die. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, so competitive eating is in no way, shape, I can't even speak English at this point because competitive eating is not a sport. It does not deserve to be a sport. No one should ever have considered it a sport. Just because Joey Chestnut and Matt Stoney sit up there on the 4th of July when all the Americans are fucking wearing their freaking American flag shirts with their fucking little short shorts, letting their pot belly stick out, watching these two dudes shove these fucking glizzies down their throat 24/7.
Lazies.
I mean, these dudes
Wieners.
just because just because these dudes shove down glizzy, I can't even speak. I can't even speak because it's so dumb, bro. Just because Matt Stoney and Joey Chestnut shove down tons and tons and tons of glizzies every 4th of July, just make it a sport. It doesn't make it a sport. I could be sitting at home watching that damn hot dog contest, eating hot dogs myself. That does not mean that I'm doing a sport. It means that I'm eating like any other human being would, like any other animal would, because they need to fill their fucking stomach with nutrients so that they don't die. Okay, so that's what you're doing as a competitive eater. It is absolutely not a sport. It's stupid. It's disgusting. It's one of the most disgusting events to watch. It's literally nauseating. If you watch it, it's funny that you watching other people eat makes you want to not eat,
Yeah.
but it's literally the most disgusting thing ever. Again, I don't know why people watch it. Like you said, America doing pointless things, number 1 trillion. But you know, that's what we like to do. We like to do stupid things and then consider them sports when they're not a sport. It's not a sport. I don't
Yep.
think any rational human being would consider competitive eating a sport.
Yep.
But I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's just disgusting. But
Yep.
let's move on to the last quote unquote sport that we have. It's korfball. And here in America, we don't play korfball that much. I don't know if anyone plays korfball in America,
Probably
but
there's probably some like
there's
college
probably
club.
some college club that plays fucking korfball, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Respect. In my opinion, or I'll ask you first. Do you think that korfball is a sport?
I mean, it's an interesting concept, but it is most certainly a sport. I mean, competitive, yes. Physically demanding, holy crap. And for entertainment's sake, I mean, I've never personally seen korfball, but after researching this, I'm definitely, interested in it. And if ESPN one day were like, "Oh, we're televising this korfball event," I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I could go on YouTube right now and look up korfball clips, see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially like basketball, but not like basketball. Um, you can use your feet, right, in order
No, you
to
so
like,
it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. So it's basically 8 players on each team, and there's
yeah,
2 zones. Okay, there's an attacking zone and a defense zone. Each team has 4 players in the zone, 2 men, 2 women. Okay, each team has 2 men, 2 women in each zone. So basically, each
because
team is
equality,
comprised of
guys.
four men, 4 women. Right? There's 2 zones, and basically you can't in the given time frame you can't switch zones. So like an attacker can't go to the defending zone and a defender can't go to the attacking zone. You're stuck in those zones, and then you basically just have a ball, and it's basically basketball, but you can't dribble. You have to pass. You can't shoot unless you're like wide open, and it's just similar, but it's like a little different. So it's like it's a more like it's a less athletic version of basketball in my opinion because you're not running up and down the court every 5 seconds, dribbling the ball, running around like crazy. It's more of a passing game, and it's a little more sedentary. It's still athletic, but it's definitely a sport. I mean, is it the most entertaining sport in the world? No, but it's definitely a sport. It's competitive. It has a very objective measure of who wins based on just how many points you get, and
Yeah,
I mean, it probably is entertaining. I mean, we don't play it as much here in America, but it is played around in other parts of the world. So it is a sport, absolutely a sport. It would be interesting if I could like actually see like a live match to see what it would be like, but
yeah.
it's a sport. I'm not going to deny it. It's 100% a sport.
Hmm.
Um, we'll see if it expands more globally,
Yeah.
but that's basically going to do it for this episode of Is This a Sport? But we're going to have some crazy sports coming up. We know that you guys are going to love it. So just keep tuning in. And that's basically it. I mean, do you have anything else to say? I mean, of course, we're going to plug Make sure to follow on every single platform. We're gonna go crazy. Follow on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify at Dubs Only Sports. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, like our videos, comment. We love the comments. We'll make sure to get those comments videos out to you soon. Tons of
Yeah.
action coming up. NBA playoffs, MLB season rolling around. This dude over here thinks he can pick every single game. So we're gonna see this year if he's
Yeah.
the we're gonna see if he's the betting guru that he thinks he is.
For
So
baseball, I
yeah,
am. I'm that
I
guy.
mean, so far his picks are immaculate. So we're just gonna
Opening
make
day.
sure that he is.
If
We're
you're
gonna
one of the
hold him
real
to it.
ones, you
So
know opening day. I
yeah,
had Rockies, I had Orioles, I had Mariners on the money line. And
yeah,
all those teams cashed out. And if you put a lot of money on that, you're looking at plus 950 odds.
yeah.
That's a lot of moolah,
Like
a lot of
basically
dough.
if basically if you want money, then just listen to his picks because they're
Yeah,
basically cash
basically.
like
We're
90% of the time.
we're
Yeah.
2 days in, and I'm up from both days. So
Because this is dubs only, bro. That's what we do. Everyone
we
knows
only
it.
take only
That's what we do. We're dubs only. So
are we wrong? But
we're gonna make sure to get some more content out to you. That's basically gonna do it for us. Make sure to follow everywhere, and we're gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.